and welcome to another episode of Life Talks with me, Fawole. We have the wizard and we have the great Dr. Carlon in the studio.
Hello. Afternoon.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me on the show.
Welcome. Thanks for coming. And we have your two angels in the background. Just to let everyone know, we've got someone in the background. There's two beautiful, lovely, amazing daughters in the background. Come on. Yeah, clap too. Yay! Welcome to the studio. Welcome. Just for so when I like something, we give three, yeah? Should we behind that? It's like 1, 2, 3. Okay. Anytime I might say like, yo, if I reach out for you, that's what
all right, I got it. Okay.
Carlon.
Good.
Nice to have you. Dr. Carlon.
Yes.
Let me not leave that. Let me ask this question first, actually. You know, you worked hard to get the acronym doctor.
Right.
And I know other doctors that worked in hospitals, they don't like it when you don't call them doctor beforehand.
Right.
Do you share that same ethos? And what do you think it is behind that?
Not really, you know, for me, and we'll get into the talk and we'll get into sort of the things I do, but I don't define myself by my career. So although, yes, obviously it's a big part of my life, I've done a lot of study, it's taken a while to get where I am. I do a lot of other things. You know, you said my daughters are here. I'm a dad too. Yeah. They don't call me Dr. Carlon at home. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I'm daddy.
Yeah,
so I think it's important that, you know, your identity is you first. Yeah. So, you know, that's who I am. And obviously doctor's part of it. I mean, professionally it's different because when you're in the hospital, I think it's, you know, it's fair. You should be recognized as what your role is, but that's the same in any profession, right? But that's the only time I really kind of will say to people, look, this should be Dr. Fitzpatrick, but otherwise, no. Yeah, no,
it's professional,
Carlon.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it's a professional thing. Yeah, absolutely.
You're Caribbean, sir?
Yes, yeah.
What part of the Caribbean?
Jamaican heritage, so pretty much all my family is Jamaican,
nice.
Other than my granddad who's Guyanese, but otherwise, yeah, the whole family's Jamaican.
Nice. How is that, like, listening? You said your last name's Fitzpatrick.
Yes.
Fitzpatrick as well.
Yeah, Fitzpatrick.
So that's like a mix, isn't it? Because that's like a
Irish. Irish name. Yeah. So actually, we tried to figure out in our family where the names sort of came in. It's from my granddad's side, who's Guyanese. Yeah. And he's tried to trace it back, but we haven't been able to sort of figure out exactly where the Fitzpatrick name came from. Yeah. The other side of the family is Brown, so that's probably a bit easier to track back. But so I'm not too sure where it's come from, to be honest.
Okay. So Jamaican heritage, yeah?
Yes, yeah.
Nice. So was you born here, born there?
Yeah, born here. Yeah, born and raised here. Yeah, I didn't even grow up in London. I grew up in Bedfordshire.
Bedfordshire. Okay.
Yeah, and moved to London when I was like 18 to come to university.
So how was that? How was it growing up? What was you like as a child? Like,
what was I like?
Yeah, when you was like these guys' ages. What was you like? It's a bit shy.
I was quiet. Yeah, I was.
Put it from over here. Put the AC on a little bit, please.
Yeah, I was quiet. You know, I didn't really properly come out my shell probably until, you know what, the big thing for me was playing sports, because I played loads of sports when I was a kid. And I got quite good at sports, and that actually brought me out of my shell. But it probably wasn't until I was about 16, 17, I hit my late teens, when I really started coming out and doing, you know, I did quite a lot of public speaking, I played a lot of sports, did representative stuff. So that's probably where I sort of found my voice a bit more. But I was quite a quiet, fairly, you know, keep myself to myself kid. Yeah, I always had lots of friends and stuff, but I wasn't
focused,
really
more focused.
Very, you know, I always wanted to be a doctor.
Okay, wow.
From these guys' age, from when I was
seriously
4 or 5. Yeah. That's
where did that come from?
You know, I actually don't know. I really don't. It was all I've ever said I wanted to do was I want to be a doctor.
And you did it.
Yeah.
It's time for that free, you know. Wow, that's good, man.
So yeah.
It's good. Let people at home know, guys at home, and you two lovely young ladies back there as well. If you put your mind to something, put your mind onto something, you can do anything. You can achieve great things. This is a living example in front of me. Come on. What kind of sports did you do when you was younger?
Well, I started off playing football, like everyone, I suppose. And cricket I picked up really early. Okay. And then because the school I went to, they kind of, anyone that was kind of sporting, they pushed into rugby. Okay. So like their main sports were like rugby, cricket, rowing and hockey. I didn't really like hockey.
Yeah.
I wasn't
They're really British sports, aren't they?
Really British
sports.
But rugby I kind of took to. So rugby was my main sport. I played a whole load of rugby. Played for Midlands, trialled at England level at under 18. Then I went on, played for New York Rugby Club when I was living out there.
Yeah. Played for England, yeah?
No, I trialled. I played for Midlands, so it was like regional stuff. And then cricket, I played sort of county cricket when I was younger and played for a few good cricket clubs. So yeah, those were my main two sports. And then in my family, all the men did martial arts when they were younger. So
nice.
Probably from like 5, 6. Yeah. My dad used to take me karate class, and I didn't really stop till I was about 22, 23.
She must use what, your black belt?
Oh yeah, when I was kept. I haven't trained for ages, but yeah. So those were my things when I was.
You registered as a deadly weapon, man. You got to see, not just a doctor, like you said. I'm not surprised you're just like, yeah, I'm a doctor, but I'm more than that. Because you're much more than that.
Yeah, I've always done that. I think it's always been about taking opportunities.
Yeah.
So, for example, like with when I was at school, I did like the Air Force cadets.
Okay.
And it was one of those things. It was an opportunity. It was something that you could take advantage of at school. And I just said, yeah, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't necessarily have that much interest at first, but I got to go flying. I got to do.
Did you fly a plane?
Yeah. I did 70 hours of flying.
Easy.
I did.
What kind of, a jet?
No, just little single prop 2-seater. I mean, the cabin's like about as wide as like a car cabin, right? Just 2-seater, so single propeller. Yeah. But I got to go flying in Cyprus. Got to go Akrotiri. I got to go up flying over the Highlands, flying over Loch Ness.
Wow.
I did like adventure training out in Cyprus. I went to Wales,
nice.
doing climbing, abseiling, all that kind of stuff. And basically just because I said yes.
Yeah, just because you said yes to stuff.
Okay, it's an opportunity. Why not?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So that, to be honest, has been kind of the story of how I've got to do all the things that I've been doing and am doing now. Is just making the most of things that are making most of the opportunities that are available to you. Yeah. It's just saying, yeah, why not? Yeah. I'll have a try. Yeah. And you never know, something you might enjoy, even if you don't enjoy it. Yeah. Because I went on certain like adventure training courses, and it'll be like in the middle of winter in Wales. So when you're there, you're like, oh, it's not great. I'm not really enjoying it. But actually, when you think back, you go, you know what? That was great. That was great. It was a real experience because it teaches you about yourself. So that's what I just say. Just say yes.
See, that's a nice. I like the way you put that, and it's just like for the youth of today, and then people just generally in life that sometimes say no or don't know how to just let go and enjoy themselves.
Right.
You're a living example of doing that, basically.
Right.
So what haven't you done, Doctor? Or what's the most exciting thing you've done for yourself today?
I don't know. It depends. I mean, stuff that I look back on, the most exciting memories, like the best things I've done. One of the things was at school. Yeah. So again, because I was playing rugby, and like I said, I got quite good. So we went on a rugby tour, and this was in my lower 6 years, so like 2000, 2001. Okay. And we went to South Africa, Australia, New Zealand, and Fiji, away for like 5 weeks. Yeah. It was all the guys that I played sports with all the way through school. Yeah. So I've known a lot of these guys for 10, 15 years at this point.
Okay, nice.
And we went on a rugby tour, and it was phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. And that was, again, just through playing sports. So that was incredible. And I suppose moving forward, the next thing was probably going to medical school in the Caribbean. I went to St. George's in Grenada.
Wow, how come?
Again, it was one of those things where it actually came from a bit of misfortune. I didn't get into medical school straight away. So I left school and I missed my grades to get into medical school. So I was Let's
talk about that. Let's break that down. Let's break it down. So what happened? You done your O-levels at the time? A-levels.
Yeah, it was GCSEs first, obviously, 16. That was fine, no problem. Got the grades I needed, fine. Then chose my subjects based on, obviously, to get into medicine. So I did like chemistry, biology, and I did theology, which was a bit kind of out there because I only did 2 sciences. Okay. But I really enjoyed theology.
Okay, what does that cover?
That was like ethics, religious studies, philosophy. Okay. And so I really enjoyed it. Yeah. And what happened was I missed my grades, so I got my A's.
But how did you miss your grade? Okay, go on.
I got my A's for my biology and my theology. Yeah. And I got like a D in chemistry. For whatever reason, on that day, my mock exams were fine. I'd gotten a B in my mocks. I was predicted to get an A. It was all good. Yeah. And for whatever reason, on that day, I just completely I dropped the ball.
How old was you? 18, 17, 18? How old are you? How old was you?
How was I then? I was 18.
And what like you said, you crushed you. What was it like?
You know what happened? I was devastated for about 6 hours.
My man.
You know what happened? I remember it so well. I got to school and they posted back in those days. It wasn't electronic, so everything was on the wall. Yeah. So you go and you look for your name. You find your name on the wall, and I was like, A, yes, boom, A, yes, D. I was like, no, that's not right. So I was devastated,
Yeah.
absolutely devastated. And I called home, and I'm almost in tears, and I was like, I got. So my parents were like, come home, just come home, because everyone else was celebrating when I was like, no, come home, come home.
Bless them.
So I got home, and I was just out of it. And basically, my dad said to me, "Don't worry, son, it's all right, you'll be fine." My mum said to me, "You know what? What are you gonna do? So what? You're gonna cry about it now? What are you gonna do?" She's like, "You're young, you got everything ahead of you, no problem. So what are you gonna? You still want to do medicine, right? You're not gonna, well, you can give up." And I was like, no. She goes, "Well, fix up then. What's the plan? Well, what are we gonna do?"
Yeah.
And literally from that moment, I was like, "Yeah, what am I gonna do?" So I was like, "Okay, right. You know, did you remember clearing? Clearing is like for people that missed their grades for their first choice courses."
Yeah.
And it was like a list of other university courses you could do that weren't necessarily what you wanted to do, but there were just places there.
Okay, yeah. I wasn't an academic, but I do remember that part. Because that was, I got sent to that part. Like, you didn't get this, you can have that. You can have that. That consolation. Almost.
So literally that day, we looked at or the following day or whenever it came out, we looked at the clearing list, and I sat down with my mum, and we just picked like the best universities. She's like, "You want to go to London?" I was like, "Yeah." So we picked King's College London, and then literally we just got on the phone and said, "Oh, I'm from Bedford Schools, the school I went to," and it's basically sent them out my CV and all the rest of it. And I ended up going to King's College London to study biomedical sciences.
Nice.
So I did an anatomy degree.
Okay.
And even to be honest, the requirements for that were actually 2 A's and a B as well.
Okay.
But they accepted me anyway, just because, you know, I'd called them up and I spoke to them. My mum was very, very kind of, you know, even to now, she's very kind of pushy. So she was like, "Look, you know,
today's just strong."
Right. So, you know, I got into that course.
Good.
And so I went to King's College.
Nice.
And I did a degree first.
Okay.
So it was still end up being a great experience. And actually, like, even to now, my best friends are people that I still kind of hang around with are from King's.
You done the degree. Okay. Nice.
Right.
Nice.
So yeah, and that led me on to then going on to Grenada to do medicine.
Okay.
Rather than studying here.
Okay. So first, your mum's still with us?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool. Your mum's name?
Angie.
Angie. Angie, God bless you, Angie. God bless you for supporting your son. I know you support your grandkids and your other children as well, but God bless you for being there at his time of need at 18 to bring this man in front of me, man. God bless you. We give you some flowers, yeah? Mwah, God bless you. I'll bring your mum a kiss, I'm sorry. I don't want no trouble. I'll bring granny a kiss, okay? All right. Yes, so to go into Guyana? Grenada, sorry. Going to Grenada. How did that come about?
Yeah, that was an interesting one as well. So literally, a lot of what's happened has come out of misfortune. So,
fortune, we could call it fortune now.
Can. Well, yeah, you can. Well, I can now.
Perceived to possibly have been misfortune, but actually it was fortune, wasn't it?
100%. So you would have thought I learnt my lesson from my A-levels. I went through my degree, and I got a 2-2 in my undergraduate degree instead of I needed a 2-1 to get into medical school.
Okay.
So I went through the degree. I went through the reapplication process of applying to all the medical schools. I got into UCL in London, no problem. Places there ready. But obviously to get the place, you have to get the minimum entry grade, which was a 2-1.
Yeah.
Which should have been easily achievable. And I missed my grades by about 3%.
Okay.
So, and to be, you know, it's one of those things. I don't beat myself up too much about this one, because actually I lost my grandmother about 2 months before I sat my exam. So it really affected me. Yeah, definitely. So that's how it happened.
Yeah.
And so I missed my grade. I couldn't take my place at medical school.
Yeah.
So I had a choice, really. It was a case of I knew I couldn't start the following, you know, straight away. Grades, so I had to wait a year, reapply. And my choices were to do another degree, so to do a master's for a year, and then reapply to medical school, and then go the following year. Which, to be honest, at the time I didn't really want to do. I was like, I don't really want to do a master's. So I worked for a year. So I worked for a marketing company in the city for a year.
As you do, because you got the brains to do it.
Just completely.
No, you got the brains.
But even that was a story, you know.
God, you come listen to me hear this. You're from medicine to marketing.
So what happened was, I used to do face-to-face fundraising.
Okay.
Do you remember the guys that stop you in the street?
Yes, and, they still do it now.
Still do it, right. So I did that.
They never get to stop me.
Well, back then it was easier because people weren't so aware of it. But so I did that from school through university on the weekends and that to make a bit of extra money. And it was that summer that I missed my grades. and I was doing face-to-face fundraising, and I stopped this woman. She started talking to me, and she said, "Oh, look, I'm not going to sign up for the charity, but I saw you talking, and I thought I'd just come and speak to you." So okay, and she says, "Oh, I'm a producer for Granada." And
nice.
she was producing this show called Selling Yourself, which is a bit like The Apprentice.
I remember the show.
Do you remember the show?
I remember hearing,
Okay.
I remember that name of the show.
Right.
That's when you said it, it sticks in my head. I don't know why, but it stuck out in my head.
This must have been 2005.
Okay.
So it was a while ago.
Yeah. I'm old as well. I don't know much. I don't usually know the stuff, but I know about Selling Yourself. Yeah.
So I got, she asked me to come and audition for the show.
Oh, nice.
So I got on the show. And the one that I was on the job was like a car salesman. So again, I had no interest in doing that. But I got to the final. So I think there was like 7 or 8 of us on the show. And like I said, it's like The Apprentice. We filmed it over like 3 days, and they did like different activities and stuff. And then someone got eliminated after each activity. Yeah. So it was me and this guy at the end. And I ended up coming second. He got the job. But one of the guys on the panel, on the interview panel, sort of stopped me off and said, "Oh, and obviously didn't get the job, but if you need something, you want to come and work for me, then give me a shout."
You ain't got a job, but you got the minerals, mate. Come over here and work for me.
That's basically what happened. So I went and worked for his company, and that's how I got into that marketing company for a year.
Nice. What was your marketing? Just it was like different stuff?
It was like promotional materials. So it was like branded stands, like from anything from like exhibition stands to like printed marketing materials to like corporate gifts. Okay. Like I remember making like a set of like bespoke boxing gloves for a company once. And so it was that kind of stuff. So it was it's quite sales and sort of marketing. So I did that for a year, and that's what it was during that year that I found out about St George's Medical School in Grenada. Okay. So I contacted them, and they were like, "Yeah, we'll take you with your current degree."
Oh, easy.
So they sort of had to go and interview. They've got offices in the UK, so I went and interviewed. They accepted me. Nice. And so I had that 1 year working for that marketing company whilst I was sort of preparing to go to medical school. Yeah. And then ended up going out there.
Do you think that the fact that you're Caribbean helped in them accepting you at that point? And because it was you were going to a Caribbean country with your qualifications.
I'm not sure, to be honest, because the school is, although it's based in Grenada, it's all administration, everything's done from New York. So it's New York. Effectively all the staff that run it are American. So about 95% of the students are American, actually. Okay. And there was a handful of Caribbean guys there, but mostly American. Okay.
What would you say the colour of your skin has played in your career going for what part would you say the colour of your skin has played? Like, and I'm fishing for like any adversity, like I said, did you get any benefits because you was young and black and Caribbean? Did you feel stopped? Did you feel stifled? Because you've achieved what you wanted to achieve from a young age. Right. You saw something, you went for it. Right. And I'm sure doors were closed in your face. There's no way it was green lights all the way.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, so let's talk about that, please. If anything.
Yeah, I mean, I've got quite a specific view on this. And my view is, in the UK now, I appreciate there's discrimination. It's there. It is. But my opinion is that it's very much there on a sort of an institutional level. So what I mean by that is it's difficult for black people to succeed. I don't think it's that difficult for a black person to succeed. And I do make that distinction. The reason being is, if we come together as a group and say, we as a group want to go and build this, and if that, whatever it is we want to build, say even in my field, right? So say a group of black surgeons got together and said, we want to create our own medical school in UK. I think that would be very difficult. I think that would be difficult if we all got together and said that. If I, as a black surgeon, said, I want to go and teach a course, it's no problem. No problem. Because I can only influence so many people on my single course with me and a couple of people my faculty. So the reason I say that is because, there probably were barriers there to me. And, when I think back and I look back at people that have taught me or people that are supposed to be mentoring me, and some people are more helpful than others. But at the time, I was just thinking, well, you're not particularly helpful, so I'll just go and ask somebody else.
No, and I'm laughing. You know why I'm laughing like that? Because there's so many different sides to this coin. Because I'm a black man, like you're a black man, right?
Right.
So, like you said, it's out there.
Of course,
we can see all these things. Some people are allowed to define them and to define how they move through stuff.
Right.
Or when they come up against adversity, it becomes all about the adversity and not about where they was trying to get to. Right. That's why I'm laughing, because, like you said, you saw it there. He's like, okay, yeah, cool, I see it there, but I'm gonna go over there.
Yeah, exactly.
Go over there, and that's the ethos you have to have if you're gonna succeed. Right. Like, it's disgusting. It's not nice. Right. From slavery up until now, all the things we have to go through, the hoops we have to jump through as black people, human beings. However, we can't let it define us or stop us or stifle us. That's where that kind of like cynicism, I was laughing, kind of came from. Because it's I know people that would just from morning till night, oh no, but we should. But you're capable in so many different ways to just circumnavigate this and make things happen. Like you said, and I've never heard that, and it makes sense to me. As a collective, it's a lot harder, but as an individual, you can achieve what you need to achieve. Correct. And then once you achieve it, for me as an individual, then you can become the collective. Like you become, because you're a surgeon, aren't you, sir?
Yes. Yeah.
What kind of surgery do you do?
Orthopedics.
See, look, sorry, because I don't know what orthopedics
Bones.
Bones.
Yeah.
It's fundamental to life. Right. Do you get what I'm saying? Imagine there's 5 surgeons now, like you, and also you come from a collective called the
British Caribbean Doctors and Dentists.
Bam. Yeah. So you've got a collective as well. Right. It's just, I'm in awe. And I'm proud of you as just one black man to another, one father to another as well. Thank you. And to hear that you're a doctor, it's like, yeah, are we that? No, I mean, right, exactly. I'm Nigerian. But look, just to let you know, I'm an honorary Jamaican today. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
You gotta give me one.
Yeah, mama, I love that. So you got to Grenada?
Yes.
To study now?
Yes.
How was your studies in Grenada?
It was good. You know, it's interesting when I think back on Grenada, because my first thought is it was hard work. Yeah. As beautiful as the island was, and the beach was there, and the parties were there, you know, from day one it was hard work. Yeah. And like I said, it's an American university, so most of the students were American, and the way they study, their ethos compared to British students at that age is different. Totally different, and it's very competitive. Like from day one, they're thinking, when I leave this medical school, I'm going to be ranked against all my peers, and then the job I get is going to be based on my ranking against everyone else here. And so
it's a battle from the beginning.
It feels like it. I remember getting there, and I was 2 weeks early for term, so I thought it's 2 weeks holiday. We get on the beach, I'm going to relax. And my roommate was studying. Yeah. What are you doing? You haven't even started term yet. He's like, no, so I know we got hematology first term, and I want to nail that because, you know, I don't know much hematology, so I'm gonna get ahead of that, start doing my anatomy. And I was like, wow. So it was an eye opener. So the academic standards in terms of, I'd say, just in terms of the grades you get, everyone was looking at their GPA from day one, like like your cumulative scores. So that was
gross point average or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know much, but
yeah, that's basically. So that was the overriding thing. But you know, outside of that, Grenada was beautiful. It was great. Yeah. And I didn't really come home during the holidays. I think I only came home in the 4 years I was in medical school. I think I came home once.
It's a holiday, isn't it? You're in Grenada. I would come over.
So yeah, so where this course was structured, we did 2 years there. So it was all your kind of academic work, all the book work was done in Grenada, and then it was 2 years in New York. Yeah. So I didn't spend the full 2 years. I spent just over a year out there, and then came back.
Okay. In American States, yeah.
Yeah, I was in New York.
How was that?
Yeah, it was great. Yeah.
Was it like Grey's Anatomy? Is it Grey's Anatomy? Was it like Grey's Anatomy? Is it Grey's Anatomy?
Nah,
that's so cool. Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, just what the shows.
Yeah. Oh, Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah, Grey's.
Or ER, was it like ER?
You know, it was a little bit. It wasn't. Okay. It's not obviously those shows are completely realistic, but you know, it was very intense though. Yeah. And there's the whole culture of medicine is very strong there. Okay. So yeah, it was. It's a different experience. Really long days, quite hard work. It's very intensive because residents work like all the time. You know, the work day starts at like 6 or 7 o'clock, and most of them are doing like 12, 13-hour shifts every day. So yeah, it was quite intense, but I enjoyed it. You know, it was, you know, I was living in the Bronx, which is kind of like living in this sort of area of London, like North London, but I was working down in Brooklyn, so kind of equivalent working in like starting here and working in Brixton or something like that.
Okay.
So I was having to commute across the city every day.
Okay.
So on my surgical rotations, when I was starting work at 6, I had to be out my house at 4:30.
Wow.
And then you'd do your full day's work. Maybe you'd be in the operating theatre in the afternoons, and your list might finish at like 6.
Yeah.
And then I used to, still trying to keep up my gym when I was playing sports. I played for New York Rugby Club, so twice a week I'd stop for rugby train on the way home. And then the other days I'd stop for the gym on the way home, meet my friend, go gym. I wouldn't get home until like 8, 9, eat my dinner and go straight back to bed. And so that was the work week.
So
it was quite intense, but great experience. It was brilliant. Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I want to say in comparison. I should be making notes, man. You're captivating me. In comparison, no. When you done your internship, your beginning of you work in all the different departments, right?
Yeah.
How was that for you?
Or in the States?
Yeah, because I know you're orthopedic doctor now.
Yeah.
But you test almost everything.
You go around. Yeah.
Which was apart from orthopedic, I don't know what would you say?
Yeah.
Orthopedics.
Yeah.
Apart from that, what did you enjoy? What didn't you enjoy? What wouldn't you do? What you wouldn't want to do? Because there's so many different jobs in
Loads
medicine
of different,
and in the hospital. So
yeah. I mean, I think my love at the time was neurosurgery. So I was dead set that I was going to do neurosurgery. Yeah. That was definitely that's exactly what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I absolutely loved it at the time.
Yeah.
But I think what happened was, because I took a career break, I guess we'll come on to that. So I took a career break after medical school. That kind of changed things. It kind of led me into orthopedics.
Okay.
But so neurosurgery I definitely loved. I liked neurology. I knew pretty early on I didn't want to do general practice, psychiatry. I thought
stressful psychiatry.
Yeah, it's slow.
Okay.
I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah.
But for me, I quite like, seeing the results of things I do. So I think quite early I decided I wanted to do surgery rather than something medical.
Yeah.
So although I enjoyed things like I enjoyed cardiology, I enjoyed general medicine, but I think quite quickly I realized actually I like surgery. I like being able to, see the results of what I've done. So surgery kind of suited me well.
You don't want a bit of blood then?
No, it's okay. I saw some eye-opening stuff over there. Like,
Go on.
One day in particular, I was working in Brooklyn Hospital, which is like downtown Brooklyn.
If you're squeamish, look away or turn off the volume. Go on.
So it wasn't the nicest part of Brooklyn. And I remember I was doing I was working in the ER at the time, wasn't even doing surgery. And I was on my way to work for a night shift. I think I was starting at like 10 or 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And I was on the subway down to work, and this guy was sat opposite me, and he's kind of just slumped in the chair like this.
Yeah.
And then about 2 stops before I was getting off, the guy just went and just...
He's dead?
He didn't. He wasn't dead. He just fell over. He just kind of tipped down. So initially I just thought, he's drunk. He's really drunk. And then I just saw blood like coming down his sleeve.
Yeah.
So I went over and asked him how he was. He's like, no, I'm good, man. I'm good. I was like, no, bro, you're bleeding. Bleeding. So he had like a slash mark here, and he had like a big slash mark like across his hand. And he wouldn't really let me help him. All I could do was stop the train and call emergency services. He wouldn't let me touch him or do anything. But this was like 5 blocks away from my hospital. So I got out of the train thinking, wow, this is happening like
it's
right here.
Wow.
So, it was crazy. It was crazy. And we got we had gunshot wounds every week because there's obviously people can carry firearms over. So that was eye opening. And it's like the gang violence and the stabbings, like I say, shootings. Yeah, it was
over there.
Yeah, and particularly that part of Brooklyn, because it wasn't the nicest part of town. So there was a lot of...
It's regular.
Yeah. So even just walking to, like, if you're out of hours and you're walking the 5 blocks from the, the subway to the hospital, let me just get there quick.
Wow. Glad you made it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Experience, so, And it was good from a medical perspective, dealing with that kind of trauma.
Yeah.
So, learning how to... Obviously, I was a student at the time, so I wasn't leading any of the trauma calls or anything like that. But, having seen those things now as someone that does lead trauma calls, we don't... In the places I've worked mostly in Kent and a bit of South London. You don't see as much of those sort of violent injuries as I did over there. So I feel like it kind of gave you a certain mindset to be able to deal with some of those things. So it was a good experience in the end.
How important do you think it is for young doctors, people in medicine and stuff, to see other things, like some of the stuff you've seen, to live, to understand different cultures and understand stuff? How important do you think that is?
I wouldn't limit it to medicine.
Sorry?
I wouldn't limit that to medicine. I think it's important anyway to have experiences, and I think it's one of the,
for us as human beings, to be,
for sure, to travel, like you say, understand culture, to have tried different things, and actually it's one of the real downfalls of an academic pathway.
Okay.
Like I say, medicine is just one of them, right? It could be engineering, it could be law, you know, take your pick, any of the kind of traditional professions where you go to university, you study a long time, and you go straight into your career.
Yeah. Life experience.
Well, for sure, because I mean, you know, I've even senior doctors, I meet quite a lot of senior doctors, and when you, obviously I know a lot of senior doctors, when you speak to them, it's like, well, their experience has been, they went to school, they went to university, medical school, then they became a doctor, and now they're a doctor. So it's a pretty straight line. And for a lot of people, you actually have to kind of go out of your way to have any real life experiences. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
To have any sort of real life experiences outside of that. So I think it's really important. And like I say, although the things I did kind of came out of, not misfortune, but like I say, missing grades,
life,
not doing what,
just
not
call
doing
it
what I
life.
should have done. It's life.
It's
exactly.
life. This is life.
So I wouldn't have done half the things I did.
Yeah.
So and I'm grateful for it now, looking back.
Yeah.
It's given me a lot of experiences, enable me to do things that I wouldn't have been able to otherwise do.
Yeah.
So.
Nice. You ever see? Do you remember that show Quincy?
Yeah.
At the beginning, they said, "We're now leading you into the side of medical science." And they pull out the blanket and they faint. Do you remember that? Do you remember, mate? That's just, sorry. I just remember random things like that. And like, carry on, doctor. This is what I was brought up on. I remember someone going to the doctor thinking they're pregnant, and they had wind. And I just like, I know it's very random. Yeah, well done. Come on. So after your, what was your favourite part about America as well? Because I'm interested in being in the Bronx, because you're a doctor, you're looking over his shoulder and doing all these things. It's peak. That's peak. And that's it's a lot. How old was you?
When I was in the States, I must have been 24, 25. Yeah.
And you're seeing that, and that's the mortality rate over there is young. Not a lot of people reach that age. They're getting killed a lot younger.
Well, you know, sort of. I guess you know, sort of. I didn't spend that much time with just going to the hospital and back, but yeah, I did see a lot of the sort of gang stuff, a lot of violent crime. So yeah, it was really eye opening. It was like, because although I know it's here, it's not like
I was about to say that it's changed.
It's
yeah,
here.
it's changed it. But you're in a different place as well.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's different somewhere, you know, because you just say, okay, you don't go there, or you know what happens in that area. But when you're completely foreign to it,
and
it's just coming to you, you're thinking, wow, what am I in the middle of? You know?
Yeah. I mean, even now, I don't think, me personally, at our ages, I was walking through certain areas, even though the danger is still there.
Yeah,
we're not so much in the mix,
right?
To say kind of thing.
That's the thing.
Like, they wouldn't really look at us. Me, I'm more concerned about our children than anything.
Yeah,
now, more
true.
than myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's true.
Coming into that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's everywhere. It's a lot, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
So, Dr. Carlon, after coming back from New York,
yep.
How did you develop into the man I see today? Like, you just fill the gaps from New York up until now. However you want to fill them, because we've got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
We still have quite a bit of time.
Good.
Cool.
Yeah, so I came back, did some rotations here. So I did half my kind of medical placements in New York, and then the other half, luckily, because St. George's like an international school, so they had some affiliated hospitals here that you could finish off your med school rotations in. So I came back to London. I was up in, I was near home, I suppose, for me was Bedfordshire, but then my family was predominantly in Tottenham, Enfield areas.
Oh,
so,
nice.
So for me, that was kind of home as well.
Good. Get in there. Good. You know. Go on.
I was at North Middlesex.
Okay,
so
nice.
I spent quite a bit of time there. So I finished my medical school degree. Now, because the qualification I got was an MD, so it's effectively an American qualification, not a British one.
What does it mean?
So medical doctor, so it's equivalent to the medical degrees they give from UK-based medical schools, but it's just a slightly, it's just how can I put it? It's examined in a different way.
Okay.
So the examining boards that issue your medical degree are American ones versus the British examining.
It's still
board.
recognised.
It's recognised,
okay.
so it's completely equivalent. The only difference is when you graduate from medical school here, you're automatically registered with the General Medical Council to go and start working as a doctor in the UK.
Okay.
Because you've been issued a UK
medical license,
medical degree. Yeah.
Degree, okay.
Whereas if you come from America, they say, yeah, we recognise you're a doctor. That's fine, but you're not registered with the GMC to work in the UK. There's a process to that.
Okay.
So I had to apply for that separately.
Red tape.
Kind of. Yeah. So I didn't have to like restudy or do anything. I just literally, it was like red tape.
Yeah.
So I had to apply, and there's some exams associated with the application just to say, okay, just to make sure you meet the UK standard, you've got to sit these exams.
Yeah. You passed them, didn't you?
Yeah, so that was fine. That wasn't a problem. No, that was a one-time thing.
Cool.
That was a one-time thing. It's just the time it took, because they only need to do the exams every few months. So there's 2 exams. It basically takes a year to do the exams. It's just the way it's set up. Yeah. So I knew coming out of medical school, I graduated 2010. I knew at the very earliest I could start working would have been 2011.
Okay.
So I knew I had a year to kind of fill. So I didn't want to do kind of any and anything. At that time, when I first came back from medical school, I went back to my dad's house he was living in Northamptonshire. So me and my dad are really close.
Good.
I was like, I love you, Dad, but I can't live here.
You needed your space.
So
2 balls couldn't be in the pen at one time.
So that lasted about not even a month, if that. And I felt I was at my dad's house while I was looking for a job.
Okay.
So I ended up getting a job with a company called Synthes, and Synthes make orthopedic implants. So this is kind of where my kind of orthopedic journey started, because bear in mind, I said to you up until this point, I love neurosurgery. So my whole career thing was, I'm going to go and be a brain surgeon. Yeah. That's what I was planning on doing. Yeah.
Was you studying towards that at the time?
Well, I kind of geared my last year, my medical school, towards building a neurosurgical CV. So I did some extra placements. I'd done an extra placement at King's College in the neurosurgical department. Like after med school, like beyond my sort of normal requirements, an extra like 2 months in the end I worked there. So I was building my CV towards that.
Good. Learn from the Yankees, right?
Yeah, well, 100%. So but I ended up applying for this job with Synthes, who are now owned by Johnson & Johnson. So they're a huge company. But at the time, it was just they were a Swiss-based company. And they made trauma implants. So like if you break your ankle or wrist or whatever, that we tend to use plates and screws to fix it. Yeah. And it was a company that makes the plates and screws. Okay, wow. So I went and worked for them initially as a sales consultant. And even
marketing,
that,
ain't you?
What did they? There you go, right? Because I wouldn't have gotten that job, because I interviewed and they're like, look, we like you, and you'll have no problem understanding the products and understanding the surgery. That's not a problem. But their question was whether I had enough sales experience to be a sales consultant.
Yeah, of course you did.
And I was like, yeah, of course, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I've done this job.
No, hold on a minute.
Yeah, exactly.
Out of the back pocket.
Literally.
Love it.
And so it's funny, I look back and think, well, the way I got that job, look how I got that job, that marketing job, was just completely random, just talking to someone in the street, doing that show, getting that job. And that then helped me get this job at Synthes. Because like medical device sales is quite a competitive thing to get into. Okay.
So it's good money in there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And that was the other thing. So I ended up working for them for 4 years in the end. My plan was only to stay for a year. But as I got working for them, I did quite well, and I won like a few sales awards and stuff, and I ended up getting
as you do.
Well, if you're there, you're gonna do it, right?
Yeah. If you're there, you're gonna do it. Come on.
So, I love that. So I did all right, and then I got a national biomaterials product specialist role with them. So it was 4 years. So I ended up clearing off all my student loan. Bought a house, did all that stuff. Got married during that time. Nice. And so that was Synthes, 4 years. So I didn't come back to medicine until 2014. Okay. So I took quite a big break. Yeah. Wasn't completely planned. But even that now has come back, because I've since founded a company called Encode Health, which is a medical device track and trace company. Nice. Okay. I know about that. That's relied, not completely, but a lot of the product that we've put together for Encode is based on the fact that I understand the medical device industry and how devices move through industry, into supply chain, into hospitals,
into the patient,
and into the patient. And obviously, because then I've gone back and done surgery and orthopedic training, and I understand the clinical side, obviously. So matching those two things together has enabled us to create a really insightful product, which is, we've just won a government grant to complete our project.
Nice.
So,
last year. How much you get?
It's a decent amount.
I love it.
It was enough.
It was nice, but I'm not going to tell you. You said it was decent amount. I love it. I like you, Carlon. I like you. Listen to this. What is a necessity for track and trace? Like, is it what you can explain it to me? Because once you've given me, I don't know, a metal pin or whatever, I've got it. Why does it need to be traced afterwards? Like, why would that's for the people at home? Not that I know, but
no, sure.
I've heard about that on a film before. That's how they found the patient, through tracing their heart monitor.
Right.
You want to track, that's why they got track and trace, and they located them through that kind of basic thing. So
right. Well, that's the basic premise. That's one of the things. I mean, for the track and trace piece, I think people are becoming more aware of it because of COVID, and there was the whole tracking and tracing of COVID, and more like contact tracing, right? So people became aware of the importance of having some sort of record as to where you've been, who you've been in contact with. And obviously going forward in vaccinations and stuff. But for our field, the way I put it to you is, if you go and buy a second-hand car, what are the questions you ask? Like, you would ask, is this authentic? Like, you say it's a BMW. Is it really a BMW? Or is it a fake? Like, that's the, I mean,
if you're smart, if you're smart.
Basic questions. And you go, does it have a full service history?
Yeah.
Are all the parts legitimate? And if something goes wrong with it, am I certain that someone will contact me and tell me that that part needs changing?
And the mileage, we check the mileage.
Check the mileage.
Yeah.
And what plate is it? You got the registration number right there. It tells you the age of the vehicle. If it's got a private plate, you're going to ask, what's the age of the vehicle, right? There's just standard
stuff
questions you're going to ask.
Now, you know what kind of life it's had.
Yeah, you want to know, exactly. So it's the same for a medical device. So if I'm going to put a knee replacement into you, fair enough, you would trust that I make the judgment to select the appropriate implant, and I'm going to use it correctly, and I'm going to make sure that the due diligence is done. So you trust as a patient that I do that. So that's fair. I don't expect most people to come and ask all those questions. But at the same time, you would kind of want to know that the implant that was put into you wasn't out of date or expired. And if, for whatever reason, the manufacturer puts a recall or puts a warning note on your device, you kind of want someone to tell you, right?
Yeah, to contact you. Yeah. You don't want to not know.
You don't want to not know.
Do they ever recycle them?
No, you can't. No, you can't recycle them.
Okay. Because you said the first second, someone's dead, Hey, here you go. There's a pin for your knee. There's a plate for your neck. Oh, I rub the bone marrow off. You're right.
Yeah, no, you can't recycle them. But what we call it, there's a name for it, so that's called provenance.
Provenance, what, recycling? No, what you're doing?
Provenance is that whole life story, is looking at something, saying, right, I can tell you exactly where that came from. And it applies to anything. But so we talk about implant provenance. And
provenance, spell that for me, please.
PROV.
Oh, I'm sorry. PROV.
Yeah, ANENC.
ANENC.
Provenance.
Provenance. Thank you. Your daddy taught me a new word today.
So what we talk about is that when you see that device again, you got that whole device history.
Okay.
So the idea is once that device is encoded or pulled onto our platform, we do that using barcodes or QR codes that are on the device itself. Yeah. Once that is scanned onto our platform, then there's a digital track created. Then we track it through supply chain. Once it gets to a hospital, that's another scanning point. Put it into an inventory holding,
nice.
And then you scan it out of that inventory into a patient.
Okay. And
then we've got what we call a patient passport, which is a bit like a banking app, which holds all of your medical data and the device data.
Okay.
So when that patient comes back to me again, I can look at their passport and say, okay, fine, you've got a knee replacement that was inserted, I don't know, on 10th of March by Mr. So-and-so.
Yeah.
And then we can, once you've got that data, you can actually do some really interesting things. So you can start looking at at wider levels of implant usage. So you can say, for example, in this area of London, so many hips and knees were done this year. And actually, we can get even more granular. We can say, well, so many hips and knees of this size were done. If you go forward, you can say so many hips and knees were done and so many failed, so many came back. So you can then start creating some really interesting data, which a lot of different parties are interested in. So the device companies want to know what happens to their devices once they sell them. The hospitals want to know about safety and being able to track those patients that are in the community with implants put in that particular hospital. And then there's a safety issue as well, isn't there, around, if there's if there's a recall or something, that you can find those patients. So that's kind of like the crux of what we're doing. And then there's other sort of commercial uses for the data that we're sort of trying to take advantage of as well. So, but that's the company in a nutshell. Yeah.
Cool. I wish you all the best of luck with that.
Thank you.
And all the blessings in the world.
Thank you.
I think you're a very blessed man anyway, so you'll be all right. You'll be more than all right. More than all right.
I hope so.
I want to not stop asking you questions, but I want, if there's anything you want to talk about now, that you wanted to go over, or stuff that we want to talk about while we was here, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's talk about it.
I mean, I think before, just off camera, we were talking a bit about Caribbean doctors and dentists and the work we do.
Yeah, how did that start? What is I messed up when I met you. I met you at the Stephen Lawrence Remembrance Day.
Yeah,
which was amazing days for an amazing person who died tragically. What's the acronym again?
BCDD.
BCDD.
Yeah, so British Caribbean Doctors and Dentists.
Yeah, I kept messing it up, but I got it now. How did that originate? How did it start? I think it's an amazing organisation.
Yeah, no, thank you. No, it is. And actually, so I'm a trustee, but the founding member was a lady called Dr. Rochelle Pierre. Who's probably someone you should speak to, actually. So
please, if you put my contact with her, that'd be really nice.
Yeah, no, she's fantastic. So she's an anaesthetist.
Okay, yeah, he puts you to sleep, yeah?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And she founded it, and then the vice chair you met was Dr. Stacey Bryan, who was there on that day, and she's a gynecologist.
Okay, it was nice meeting both of you, man.
Yeah.
You know what I was saying? Not to cut you, it was very empowering for me to see two beautiful, strong black people, and then representing what you're representing, and it was just empowering for me. All that was going on, and to know there's a black British doctors, and I can mess it up the acronym again, but you got your own thing going on, and it's part of me. To me, it made me proud. Even I'm Nigerian, we're all the same as far as I'm concerned. But hearing that, I was so proud because I work in medicine. I work in a hospital. I'm not a doctor or anything like that. I work in a hospital, so I see certain things. For over maybe 8 years, I've been seeing things. So I'm so proud of you and everyone within this Caribbean Dentists and Doctors Association and Stacey. I was proud to meet you guys. I got you a free now. All right, sorry, I won't interrupt you again. Go ahead, back to the story.
So those two are kind of the founding members, and the whole thing around it actually was about to get outreach. So it was getting medicine out to our community, and for a number of reasons. So one of the big inspirations was trying to encourage youngsters to get into medical careers, or even just scientific or STEM careers, scientific, technology, engineering, mathematics. I think that's the acronym anyway. So it was getting young people into the medical careers. That's one of the big things. And then also doing community outreach.
Okay.
So I think this goes back to the point I was making earlier on, right? And I think it's really important, is as individuals, we're fine. But as a group, it's difficult. And I think it's the same when we talk about medicine and accessing healthcare. There's nothing stopping you from getting the same healthcare as anybody else. As long as you understand how to navigate the NHS and how to get your referrals and how to get in front of the correct specialist, you can do it. There's no problem. But yet all the statistics tell you that there's a massive disparity between the quality of care and the clinical outcomes between different communities, and certainly the black community. And the big one, and it's one of the things that actually interesting, Dr. Stacey Bryan's a fantastic person to speak to about this as well, women's health. I think I spoke a bit about it on that day.
Yeah, I was hosting, so I never got the pleasure of hearing everything. So I was moving around hosting and everything. We had 2 stages at the same time going at one point. But go on, sorry.
One of the big things is childbirth adverse outcomes, as in complications around childbirth, and women's health. There's a massive difference. I mean, I think it's like 20-30% more adverse outcomes in black women compared to their white counterparts in the UK.
Is there any information, or do you have any speculation as to why the statistics are like that?
It's difficult to say. I mean, I I can tell you what my opinion is.
Yeah, and I'll take
um,
I'll take it as that. I wouldn't take it
Yeah.
as what it is. You know, like.
So, and I think it is this thing that there's a, like I say, as individuals, we have the same opportunities, but as a community, it's difficult to advocate for ourselves. And so what I mean by that is in certain areas where there are higher, sort of higher populations of black people, or not just black people, other ethnic minorities, and even that we could discuss what ethnic minority means, because really and truly globally we're not. But there are the health provisions are different in different areas. And so you have to look at why that is. And also as a black community, we have to understand what steps we can do to change that, or how we can navigate that ourselves. And there's also a thing around trust as well.
Yeah, that's a big one for me.
Big one. And in our community, and it's, it's a two-way thing. It's because of things that have happened in the past and discrimination against us in the past. And it came out massively in COVID. There's a distrust between the black community and
medicine,
and health and medicine.
Yeah, of course.
And so, yes, there's higher complication rates, but it may well be because we're presenting late, because we're not coming to the healthcare institutions first
in time. I mean,
in time.
I want to say, because this is your field of speciality. First, I want to say, if you're a black male of a certain age, go and get your prostate exam.
100%.
Check yourself out. Get your prostate exam. If you are a black male, just go and get your prostate exam.
Perfect example.
Don't muck about with that. Go and get it done.
Perfect example. And there's sorry to cut you.
No, you're not cutting me. We're talking. You're gone.
One of my good friends from back from King's days. He's a urologist, so men's health kind of surgeon. And he does prostate surgeries and things like that. Works at King's, and he does fantastic work. He's been on BBC. He's been really
get him on
out
if
there.
we can.
No, for sure, Jonathan.
I'm gonna get loads of links.
He's good people. He's good people. But he advocates for this, and it's a massive thing. And it's just that prostate screening.
It's serious. Just go and get checked out. Get checked out. That's it, please.
And so, as much as I'm saying, the outcomes are worse in our community, and you could blame institutions and say, oh well, because we don't have access. Well, you do have access. Just get up and go and make the appointments. So that is honestly a lot of the work that we do at BCDD is we're trying to get out to our communities and say, look, we understand there's this distrust, but at the end of the day, the services are there to serve you also. And I think it helps having us coming out and saying, look, of course, these are the services, this is available, this is how you navigate it, this is how you get what you need. Of course. And these are the things you need to be looking for.
It's important to
make sure you're getting, and it's just simple things like how you manage your diabetes, your high blood pressure, your cholesterol, prostate examinations. Simple things.
But you see what it is for me, What it is for me, is it goes across the board. Right. Like, it is what it is. This is the world we're living in. We don't trust police. We don't trust the medical things. We don't trust workplaces because we get discriminated in workplaces. This is like the collective black people. Right. When we go up against someone in the workplace, we might make a complaint. We'll be the person end up getting fired. If we don't get fired at that point, they'll wait and they'll make something up and fire us later on. This is what we know as a collective. This is the kind of like the story. This is it. Like, I wouldn't expect anyone. Sometimes I recoil from doing certain things. I know better, but I recoil from doing certain things because I don't want somebody who I may perceive to be against me, because not every white person is against every black person, but somebody I may perceive to be against me, to have my personal information, or to tell them certain things, or to give them the power to say, no, you can't have this, no, you can't have that. And I think that is part of, some of us don't want to be ashamed, especially the old school people. They're set in their ways. They'd rather not until their back's all the way to the wall and they have to go and it's too late.
Correct.
So having the BCDD, people like yourself, Doctor, and the other people that are part of it, somebody I can look at and identify with, it's imperative. Yes. It's so important for us to move forward. That's this, man. And I think that's what it is. That's what we need. That's it. That's it.
What it's about.
That's it, man.
That is what it's about.
Well done, man.
100%. And I think, like I say, we're doing through the various projects, but that's it. It's all about being visible. Yeah. It's about saying there are black medics out there that have your best interests at heart. Yeah. And that's the most important thing. And this is for you as well. It's for all of everything out there for all of us. Right. Don't be scared of asking for it, because some of us are scared for asking for it. Right. Which is scared. Yeah. Go on, sorry, continue, sir. No, that's it. 100%. And actually, we had these conversations during COVID because it was really eye-opening COVID. And I got invited onto a platform with brother Andrew Mohammed, and he runs the Hidden Truth platform. I don't know whether you've heard of it or listened to it.
I haven't heard of it. I'll check it out though.
It's wicked. Tuesday evenings. It's a Zoom platform. I think when he first started off, I probably had like 100 people on there, but now he regularly gets 500 to 1,000 people on his platform every week. And he picks sort of topics that are relevant to the black community and will invite guest speakers on and so on. So I spoke on his platform during lockdown.
What's his name, sorry?
Andrew Mohammed. And it's the Hidden Truth on a Tuesday.
Mohammed.
He also calls himself the Investigator because he does movie breakdowns and stuff. And I was on his platform with another brother doing his platform's a Hidden Science. Andrew Marshall, his name is. Okay. Is it Andrew? Or no, Leon Marshall. Sorry, Leon Marshall. And that was fire. It was incredible. So we had a debate, and basically I invited one of my colleagues who is a infectious disease doctor, one of my good friends from King's, Dr. Sarah Ann Filson. And she had worked on some of the vaccine development, and she was very knowledgeable on the vaccines at the time. And so they set up a debate. It was kind of for and against. So they invited us as doctors to kind of argue for why you should be vaccinated. And they had a couple of other people why you wouldn't be vaccinated. And that got heated.
Of course.
It was eye-opening. And I'm, to be honest, at the time I felt away, and I had, we didn't quite come to, but he started I think, it was Brother Leon. He started his presentation with a thing about Tuskegee.
Okay. And
for those who don't know, Tuskegee was an experiment back in the 50s on a particular air squadron of black. Air Force serving
pilots,
pilots in America,
American Army,
and they gave them syphilis, and they were testing treatments, and so obviously all the ethical things are there. Right? You can see what it was all about, and he started that, and for me, I was like, okay, I understand the relevance of that reference, but why would you invite two black doctors onto your platform? Open with that. And effectively tell me that I'm representing that medical institution that has no interest in black health. So that kind of upset me a little bit as a black doctor. But in a way, it's like, okay, fair enough. I see why he did it.
He's got a devil's advocate in it.
It was a devil's advocate. I can see why he did. But it kind of really set the tone. And so you could see on the comments, I think there were about 3,500 people watching that day, and you could see on the comments the animosity towards. And I guess we were the doctors. We were the ones there.
Yeah.
And it was worse for my colleague Sarah, because one, she wasn't familiar with the platform, and secondly, because she had been involved in vaccine development. And so she got absolutely hammered with all these kind of, you're sold out, you're representing all this. And it's like, well, she's here to educate you.
But how stupid is that? I think that's stupid.
But it comes back to the point of mistrust, right?
But it does. But this is my thing, what I think is stupid. Because there's certain things that black people, let's say will go to the doctors and ask them for.
Right.
And these things at some point were initially tried and tested somewhere along the line. So you can't tell me I'm going to eat your rice and peas, but I don't want your dumplings because you might have put something in the dumplings. Right. It doesn't make any sense. Right. Like, you can say that there may be something in the rice and peas, there may be something in the dumplings, but I'm going to take it because it's better than me getting, I don't know, what you get from, like not syphilis, but I don't know, something run like typhoid or something like that. But then to say that I'm going to go and take this and not take that, it just doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is,
that's me.
I agree. But
I took the vaccine, but I'm not happy. I want to swear, but there's kids in the studio. Right. I wish I never took it after everything that's gone on. But I took it hands up. I didn't mind because I know what I've put into my body before, and it's my body, it's my decision kind of thing.
Well, and that's the point I made, was it's fair enough if you mistrust it, and I understand why you might. But what I want you to do is make a decision based on information and not just kind of because someone said that it's a conspiracy or because this and that. No. Let's have a proper conversation about it. Let me explain to you from a medical perspective where the vaccine came from, what its uses are, what the advantage and disadvantage is, and I'm going to leave it there. Yeah. And then you make a decision. I'm not saying you have to take it. All I'm saying is understand what you're dealing with.
Yeah. You come in with a propaganda chip on your shoulder. it's just not going to work already. You tested AIDS in Africa,
Right.
you tested this. These things may be true, but they're not going to help this current situation.
And this is the big thing. So this is the other thing that, you know, we do at BCDD. It's about health advocacy, and health advocacy starts with education. So you can't make an informed decision if you don't understand. It's not an informed decision. It's just you kind of guessing.
Or listening to what you've been told.
Yeah. And so that's what the whole conversation for me was about. And, you know, so that's why it upset me a little bit that there was so much animosity and so much, not hate's a strong word, but it was mistrust. I'm thinking, what's it based on?
Ignorance.
If you're going to come and tell me you understand the process and you're going to tell me, oh, I don't want to take the vaccine because it was developed in 9 months and there haven't been proper clinical trials, and normally this takes about 5 to 10 years, and there's these legislations that were changed beforehand that absolve the companies of any kind of adverse reaction, any lawful liability.
Any repercussions, yeah.
If you came and told me that as your argument why you didn't want to take it, I'd say, cool, because you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's a fair decision for you based on that information.
Yeah.
Don't tell me because you watched a movie a few years ago and there was a vaccine in it and it was a tracker and they're putting a chip in it.
And everyone's saying the same thing.
Like,
yeah. But you know what? You know what kills it for me? What my definitive thing was people will take recreational drugs and not know what the hell is mixed in them.
Right.
And they will go and bite off someone. And I know that people, you're cutting it with whatever you're cutting it with, basically, and you'll take people that's putting out their nose, injecting, doing all sorts of things.
Right.
At the drop of a hat. At the drop of a hat.
Right.
But now, because my health is most important.
Right.
It wasn't important when you was doing that.
Right.
So at least do the due diligence, do the research, but don't start waving this banner when you're doing that as well. And that doesn't apply to everyone. Not everyone's like
agreed,
that. But the people that are like that, that's why I'm like, don't make no sense to me. It make no sense to me.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I regret taking it. I'll tell you that with my hand on my heart. Where's my heart? I regret taking it. I sit at home and think, oh my God, what did they do to me? Like, so seriously, because I worked in a hospital and I was forced in that thing when it goes, oh, if you haven't got it by a certain time, you won't be able to work. And then my mum was sick. My mum was at home. She caught COVID in that. So I thought mum's older as well. So all the little things they put onto you that I kind of folded under pressure and I got asthma and that. And so I regret kind of taking it. But it was my decision.
Yes.
It wasn't no one else's decision. I took it because of what I believed in, what I wanted to do. And if anything happened, it never. But it didn't happen to me. Hey, I'm still here.
Well, I got hit with the same thing.
Sorry.
Was that last year, wasn't it?
It was just before everything opened up.
Yeah.
Just before everything opened up. They hit us and they said there'll be a deadline. And I was at work. People were crying.
Right.
I saw people cried. People were rolling up their sleeve and actually cried. Like they didn't want to do it, but they didn't want to lose their jobs.
Right.
They was held to ransom. That I didn't like that at all. It was terrible.
I was on that because I hadn't taken it, and I had the same thing, and I said, I'm not doing it.
Why didn't you take? So did you not take it at all?
No.
Hey, my brother.
I didn't do it.
So everyone who was in that argument on that day with my friend Dr. Carlon, I understand he didn't take it. He was there talking to you. So you may have had your attitude and your opinions, but you see, if you stayed and listened and just opened you up your minds to learn, you may have learnt something that day. Please carry on, sir.
So yeah, we had the same conversation. So I got to my all my clinical supervisors and my educational supervisors were like, oh, you know, be better
force you.
Well, you know, they're trying to make reasonable arguments. You put it that way, trying to make a reasonable argument as to why you should take it rather than not. And one of them was, well, you do realise that, you know, the hospital can't keep you employed. And so I had to sit down with the service manager and sign a disclaimer and say, I do understand that if I don't take the vaccine by, I can't remember what the date was, 30, it was like the end of March or something. It was like
I would have cussed.
Something like that.
I would have cussed. I would have cussed.
So I was willing to, that's how I did it. I was like, no, you know, I'll sign the form.
Power to you.
Well, at that point, you know what? It's not that I was 100% completely against taking the vaccination. I just hadn't yet found a good enough reason to go and do it. But you know what? That kind of made me dig my heels in a little bit. I was like, hold on a minute. It's one thing to try and make a medical argument or some sort of logical argument as to why I should take the vaccine. But turn around saying to me, hold on, you're just not going to have your job. I'm just going to threaten you with your job.
Yeah.
I said, no, keep the job then. It's fine. I can do other things.
Yeah,
it's fine.
Sad.
It's fine. And I actually know a couple of doctors that left. I know a few people that left.
Good for them.
Because of that.
Good for them.
So and even though they reversed it,
they didn't go back. Good for them.
Yeah.
Good for them. I mean, I'm not even working in the hospital that I was in. I took it in, but I never took it like as in that the same thing I'm saying like at that the police like you have to take it. I was just there and I was like, oh, go on then. It was just accessible,
Right.
So I just went and did it because it was so accessible. It wasn't if I had to go through the make an appointment and all that, I probably wouldn't have done it.
Right.
I literally went down the hall. Just go on then. They done the first one. I goes go on
Yeah.
and do the second one. So it wasn't even that much of a thought process in it. So that
Yeah.
But yeah.
So yeah, that was an interesting time. And it was quite close, wasn't it? Because only a few weeks afterwards they turned around and said, "Oh no, I think we'll reverse it." But there was a lot of people. There's a lot of people.
Black people. How do you think that made us feel? Like, as in the people who didn't want to take stuff, who didn't take stuff, and then everything is coming in around this, the whole propaganda machine behind this now, and the fact that everything was coming out now as well. Like, just how do you think that's made those people feel, the collective? There's just like,
it doesn't help the mistrust, does it?
Nah.
Because especially now everything's sort of been, I don't know, how would you put it? Reversed or kind of
revealed, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean it's.
I'd say everything's been revealed. That's what I thought.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, it's just it's really difficult. Then you just think, well, why was all of that so pressured at the time?
We'll find that.
There's a couple of ways to look at it. You can be very cynical and just say, well, it was an exercise or it was something that was, manufactured, or you can say, well, you know what? Maybe they didn't know. Maybe at the time it was thought that this was such a dangerous disease that we have to take these steps and we have to take any means possible to make sure that our population, our communities are protected. So there are two arguments, but I think the fact that it was so heavily weighted towards our community, and they were all, for example, I went and got we probably all did, you get like risk assessed in your workplace, and they sent out these little forms. Probably most people had to do it. And I got mine, and it said my COVID age was like 50 something, and I was like,
wow,
what does that mean, COVID age? I said, what's a COVID age? COVID age. So, and I looked at the form. I'm like, well, okay, I'm in my late 30s. It's not that, is it? I just add 10 to it, like, And I've got no medical problems.
Yeah.
I've been fit and well. The only box I tick that's out of the ordinary is that I'm Black Caribbean.
Yeah.
And that made my COVID age 50. And so it was so heavily weighted against our community. You just think, like, why? And then there are all these stats about, how, COVID outcomes in the BAME community are so much worse than the white counterparts. And so it was really heavily pushed on our community. And then there's a lot of things about highlighting, there's a disparity in metabolic health. And when metabolic health is sort of like things like, heart disease, diabetes, high cholesterol, those disease processes, which you might argue are higher in our communities. But my question at that point was, okay, so you've noted all of this now, and it's a problem now, but these are health issues that should have been addressed years ago.
Yeah.
So why now are we talking about this as though it's urgent?
Because you got an agenda.
And because it's
Can you take that, please?
It's now something that's going to make you comply to what's supposed to be the normal thing or the correct thing to do. So that was kind of my issue with it, was just the whole narrative. It was how it was presented to us, and I feel like there's other ways that could have been done. Yeah. So that was my problem. Yeah. I accept that COVID was devastating at the time. It killed a lot of people. So there would have been a lot of people in World Health Organizations and in at higher levels worrying about how to protect communities. So I do get that. Yeah. I just think it could have been handled, and certainly the way it was presented to our community. And I'm sure, Asians and Indians and other ethnic minorities may well say the same thing. Yeah. But from my point of view, that was what I didn't particularly like. Yeah.
So I want to ask you a few that's like my random general questions in a minute. But on a like ethical kind of level, what does C? I can't do the acronym. The British, the BCDD.
Yeah, BCDD.
Yeah! I did that. I was right. The BCDD. It reminds me of something. It sounds like something from Batman, the new Batman, Gotham City, the GCPD. That's it, the Gotham City Police Department. I knew I heard it before. How can I remember that nonsense nonsense. I can't remember something good. That's part of our culture. The BCDD.
Yeah.
So what we? I wish I was part of the BCDD. But we kind of covered it, didn't we? Like you're trying to create more awareness.
Yeah.
Open-minded for our culture.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to touch on about medicine, about dental care as well? I think that's very important. We only get 2 sets of teeth.
Yeah.
If you ain't got good parents, they don't teach you how to look after your teeth. Like in London, I ate a lot of balled sweets when I was young. They don't do it. They ain't got them now.
Right.
You remember them sweets?
Yeah.
Pears, I used to suck them all my teeth. Anyway, yeah. So just in general, just generally, just about. Tell us more about the BCDD. Just quite so quickly because I'm gonna ask you some questions.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so there's a few things. So we do. We talked about health advocacy. The outreach is another thing that I sort of try and get involved in when I've got time, and we go out to schools, youth clubs, and give talks about careers, what we do, what it looks like to be a doctor. We've done basic skills sessions, so teaching kids how to do a little bit of first aid, bit of basic life support like chest compressions, that kind of stuff. And we've also paired up with a couple of other organisations. So there's like Afro-Caribbean Mentoring Association who deal with like looking at ACCM. They look after kind of mentoring kids directly, so taking them from like GCSE A levels into medical careers. So that's the outreach part. We've also got a sort of professional development aspect to it, where we do a lot of work within our group, so helping to support each other. So I've got a mentor, for example, in BCDD. He's another orthopedic surgeon that works up in Boston, like up in the Midlands, Dr. Phil Heaton. Cool guy. He's a Jamaican guy, into his sports and stuff as well.
Jamaica. I haven't seen that once yet. I had to say that. I'll probably say it again before we're done. But I'm going to say it again now. Jamaica. Are you filming me? You playing the game? Oh, sorry. You work with a Jamaican doctor up in the Midlands. Sorry.
So we have a mentor, and I mentored someone who's just got into orthopedic training, so I helped him through his interview process and stuff like that. Nice. So we do a bit of that, kind of helping and supporting each other. I said the outreach. And we're also trying to do a bit of kind of linking back to the Caribbean. So we're making connections with some Caribbean medical schools. Good. With the idea of eventually doing some like international exchanges, so we can get students or junior doctors into placements or kind of fellowships and things like that in the Caribbean, and maybe organise things for Caribbean students and doctors
to come over here. Nice.
So that's kind of the aim. And then ultimately, what we want to do is, once we become a powerful enough group, is to start influencing policies within medicine. Yeah. So we can turn around and say, look, Caribbean trainees want this. Yeah. This helps us. Yeah. But now we've got a voice to say this is going to be beneficial to our community. Like whether it's a training thing, whether it's a professional development, access to resource, whatever it is. Yeah. Ideally, we want to be a voice. And similarly, like COVID, we couldn't respond as a community. You have to respond via your MP. Yeah. So if your MP is not for your community, you've got a problem. Whereas groups like ours allow us to tackle those things internally. So if we're a strong enough group, we can say, hold on a minute. We as black doctors think that this is not in the best interest of our community. Yeah. And so we can speak on your behalf. So that's where we're trying to go.
And I love that because it's like, I don't know what any black doctors may have gone through over the years, they may be going through right now in certain hospitals, in certain institutions, on their own, being that one trying to move through. But this, what you're presenting, helps you, gives you somewhere to go. I know there's always been unions and there's always been certain things for workers, like of different demographics, but there have been unions for mixed people kind of thing, opposed to facing adversities that we face within these institutions. Sometimes you don't want to talk. Sometimes if you talk, you're victimized because you talk. There's so many different things. So I think it's imperative. I think it's amazing what you guys are doing. It's wonderful. No, thank you. Thank you. And thank you. Anyone out there, remember the BCDD. The BCDD. Check them out. The British Caribbean Doctors and Dentists Association.
Got it.
Yeah? Come on, I nailed it. Come on. Let me ask you a couple of questions.
All right.
He does orthopedics. His bones are probably good and strong. How you doing, man? You right? Good to see you. Yeah, so I'm gonna ask you a few questions, and then we're closing up now. But is there anything you want to ask me before asking the questions?
I want to ask you, who else have you had on here that's been interesting? Who's the most interesting person you've interviewed? I'm always in. Come
on. No. To be honest with you, everyone's interested.
Yeah.
In their own right, because everyone's got their own story. This is the ethos of Life Talks. It's about talking to people about their lives.
Right.
You're a young black doctor who I met once, who's now here with his 2 children on a bank holiday Monday, sharing with me. To me, that's impressive. You could be doing so many other things.
Yeah.
You're a doctor, you've been a doctor, you've got your own business, you got a couple of quid. You could be doing whatever you want to do today. Some people ain't got money, they can't do what they want to do. You could do anything you want to do today, but you're here like sharing with me. I appreciate that.
It's important though.
New York, Guyana.
Grenada,
sorry.
Yeah.
I already messed that up, didn't I? I was listening.
That's from Ghana.
That's what it is.
You can shout Ghana anyway.
Big up Guyana. Yeah, and Jamaica. Don't forget. Yeah, but your life is really interesting. You've experienced stuff that I haven't experienced, but now I've spoken to you, I've experienced it through you. I've got within my vivid imagination, I can see a journey from the Bronx to Brooklyn. I can see you with the guy on the train who had that cut and what it done to you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We haven't spoken about your family, but your family's here.
Yeah.
You know, you're in a industry, you're in a world that we could argue is predominantly racist. But when you worry about that stuff, you don't move forward.
You.
Yeah. So as much as I know about that stuff and I've heard about stuff going out black and that, like I don't care about that stuff.
Right.
I always just power through. Like you said, you see it. And you just don't give it no power. If people do, I'll see you later, baked potato.
Yeah.
And then you talk to the people who are receptive and who are working with you.
Right.
Because I could sit here like certain people do. The person that shot didn't give me, and this. It's not even racism. It's just prejudice.
Right.
But I'm not going to waste my life doing that.
Correct.
So I've learned from you. Every guest is important to me. Every guest is interesting to me. I have had 1 or 2 that have been a bit like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. It's so boring. I've had a few, and it's like I've had to kind of warm them up.
Right.
But they've still warmed up.
Right.
So I appreciate everyone that's been on. We're almost on 100 episodes.
Wow.
It's such a pleasure to have you on this episode. I love you little girls to come in and say hi at the end if they wanted to. I love that. Can you spin the camera? Can you see that? Just say, can you say hi? Hi.
Say hi, answer.
To the camera up there. Hello. Easy. Just and that's the next generation.
Right.
I've got children. I've got a bag of children.
Right.
I've got a lot to teach them. And this is all inspirational to me. So in answer to your question, every single guest, but as it stands, you, Doctor.
Thank you.
As it stands. No, thank you. Thank you. Because you're doing great things. You've done all the sports stuff you've been doing. You're working in the hospitals. You're helping people. You're out here. Some people are just living their lives for themselves. The CBDD are creating stuff for doctors that are coming up, doctors that are already in the industry, and doctors that have passed and gone through. Do you understand? You're changing the narrative of how black people will perceive medicine.
Right.
You're doing a lot of things, bro. A lot of things, bro. Very inspirational, bro. That's what you know what I'm saying. I can't wait to meet more of your colleagues.
Yeah, some great people to meet.
We should get you back on with Stacey together, though.
For sure.
I think that'd be another conversation.
There's a actually one of my best friends. He's a barrister.
Nice.
But he's inspirational to me.
He's a black barrister?
Yeah, black barrister. So he's got
He's a BB. He's a black barrister. I'm sorry.
He's got a great story. So it's my friend Stephen Louis.
Yeah.
And so he's Jamaican born.
Jamaica. Sorry. No. Sorry. God.
But he's faced so many challenges. I met him at university. Yes, so he's a barrister now, works in Garden Court in the city.
Nice.
He was honoured in Temple Court last year during Black History Month. I mean, a picture like this in Temple Court.
Good, yeah.
Temple Court.
Yeah, I know.
There's my man there. He's the same age as me. Incredible. He's had to come through that because he's gay.
Yeah.
But black Jamaican gay male got to the top
He's
of his
barrister.
career.
Yeah.
And he does so much work.
Yeah.
You know, the guy is
he's getting everything from him.
He's
Yeah.
So he'd be someone. If you could ever get him on a show, I'll ask him.
Yeah, no, you got to pattern out. If you could sort that out, I'd love to have him on the show.
Sure.
I'm very interested to hear his story.
Yeah.
Very interested.
So the thing is, it's great when you start looking around. There's people doing great work.
Yeah.
And But my
That's
thing
what we need to
actually
look at.
Well, it is, but what we need to start doing is pulling it all together.
Together, yeah.
And actually, stuff like what you're doing
Yeah.
is so important to that
Yeah.
because it's not just showing us, but it's bringing people in one place.
Yeah.
Like if you manage to get 4 or 5 people from different industries and start talking about the experiences we have as professionals, or even just whatever your industry is, but you're the head of that.
Yeah.
The conversations would be incredible.
Yeah. Sound like something for after the 100.
For true, and but
No,
it's
I
these
like that,
sorts of
thank you.
platforms, because I can do what I do, but I don't have a massive social media I've got no particular interest in it. I like doing the work
After
I do.
today, doctor, they'll be following you in the streets.
But it's people that have got platforms, that can bring together individuals and highlight the work that's being done and that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And what people are, and showing the other way, because we can all sit here and talk about problems.
Yeah.
We can do that all day. We can do that
Yeah.
all day.
Yeah.
But actually, why don't we sit here and talk about, well, there's this organization doing this good
Solutions,
thing. We're doing this good thing over
positivity.
here. Oh, you know what? There's a bit of crossover here.
Achievements.
Maybe there's something we can do.
Goals.
And going back to the point we've been talking about earlier on in terms of, like workplace discrimination, all that kind of stuff. Yes, it exists. But if we have more black companies, wouldn't it be less of a problem? If we have more black ownership,
Yeah.
wouldn't it be less of a problem?
But you know what? You know the wickedest thing, yeah? I don't want to say, the wickedest time when the rain a fall. I couldn't help that. Sorry. It's a Jamaican song. The wickedest thing is, I believe that when we do have those companies, like it is anywhere at work, you'll still find people in the company that are gunning for you, they're doing nonsense, but you won't be able to be saying because I'm black anymore.
Yeah,
it's just because they're horrible.
Find a new excuse.
Yeah, because human beings are human beings.
It's true.
Black, white, blue, gay, whatever you are, there's good
right.
and there's bad, there's nice
right.
and there's nasty.
You're right.
And that's
Well,
it.
you know what? Let's create that problem then.
Let's create that problem. Let's create that problem. On that note, this has been amazing. Dr. Carlon.
Yes.
Encode. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, man. It's been amazing. That's Live Talks, Dr. Carlon. The Wizards. Whoosh. And his 2 beautiful daughters in the corner. Hey. It's over, man. We're good. We're good. Cool.